India has always taken a comfort in the fact that its democratic process and the private sector gives it a distinctive advantage over its larger neighbor China. But according to Alan Rosling, the former executive director of Tata Sons and the co-founder of Kiran Energy, India needs to raise its games because the Chinese are coming. Giving an example of a recent round of funding for a cab-hailing app which came mostly from China, said Rosling. They have a competitive business models which are quite powerful. I think India still has the advantage with its private sector, but we can learn to do better from China. Rosling admitted that for years he too argued that India had advanced education facilities and software infrastructures in the private sector compared to China. But the reality is that in the past 10 years, China has changed amazingly in the private sector. The change in the entrepreneurial China has been true blue, he said at the recent talk hosted by the Asia Society in Mumbai. For instance, Rosling said that if one compared innovation last year, China had filed more than 1.5 million patents than of US. Not that the patent application in Koreans is a good measure of how truly innovative an economy is, but its measures, he said. In terms of inputs in the innovation system, China with its universities, R&D, patent application research scientists is far ahead of anyone else apart from the US. It's catching up with the US as well. So it's a phenomenal what's happening, he added. In order to stand up to the challenge and use its advantage to the maximum, Rosling suggested that India start learning from its neighbor. Too many business leaders and government, he said, found a comparison with China is insulting. But there is a comparison, he argued. You need a benchmark and China is pretty good benchmark for what's possible. If you want to do what's possible, you should go to China and learn as much as you can. Just as the Chinese, if they think there is something to learning from us, they allow TCS in China because they wanted to know about the one thing that we do better than China, IT outsourcing, he said. So what do you think of India lacking so much behind China? Will ever it can compare or compete with China and surpass China within 50 or 100 years?
Futuristic design. How much would this in the remotest village. Not limited to these fields, China has also made great achievements in harbor and railway construction. Let's learn more about that in our next episode. Why is a foggy harbor getting so much attention from the media? That's because if the harbor is out of order, goods you are going to buy from China will run short of storage for the time being. The Leverkusen Express cargo ship of the UK is slowly sailing in the port, ready to unload more than 3,000 containers of cargo worth multi-million US dollars. Meanwhile, another 3,000 boxes of goods from China are waiting to be shipped to Great Britain. All loadings are expected to be completed within 24 hours. This is Shanghai Port, the world's busiest and biggest container port, as large as 470 soccer fields combined, covering 3.94 square kilometers. It connects China with more than 600 ports in 214 countries and regions. Annually, China exchanges 40 million standard cases, 3.6 billion tons of goods, with countries and regions around the world through this huge capacity port. Anything could have been transferred from here, such as cars, computers, toys, bags, cosmetics, and whiskey. No wonder congestions at the port receive so much international attention. There are many big ports in China. During the past 5 years, the Chinese government has made headway in port construction. China boasts 34 ports with annual handling capacity of more than 100 million tons and 2,317 berths exceeding 10,000 tons, 1.3 times more than 5 years ago. Also, Chinese ports have occupied 7 spots in the world's top 10 ports. Meanwhile, China is also leading the way with the scope and sophistication of its rail networks and rolling stock. For example, a suspended train in Qingdao runs at 70 kilometers an hour, while in Chongqing, the train is running through blocks of high-rising buildings. It's a phenomenon much covered in the Western media. But the most amazing part is its leading worldwide in operations and management. China's high-speed passenger railway network has extended to 40,000 kilometers, which could circle all around the Earth. And the high-speed passenger train shuttling between Beijing and Shanghai is operated on the world's busiest route, with an annual passenger volume of 100 million and a departure every 3 minutes during the busiest time. Despite challenging operation times, trains in China usually score perfectly for punctuality. The efficiency and safety of the train lines in China has been guaranteed by the world's most advanced train control and operating system. Here is one of the command centers of the Chinese railway network, with more than 4,100 trains under surveillance 24 hours a day. Besides running conditions, bridge tracks, running speeds, and even the axle temperatures are all real-time monitored. Today, China has expanded its railway business to other countries. CRRC, the world's largest supplier of rail transit equipment, has provided rolling stock for more than 100 countries and regions. The number continues to rise. Wherever you are in the world, there's a good chance your train ride is a made-in-China carriage. In 1990, China accounted for less than 3% of global manufacturing output, but 20 years later, it has surpassed the US to become the world's largest manufacturing nation. Under the leadership of Chinese President Xi Jinping, the Chinese government has given priority to infrastructure development. In 2016 alone, it had invested in 400 projects. Even US President Donald Trump has noticed the infrastructure gap between the US and China. He wants to invest about $1 trillion to develop American infrastructures just to catch up with China. As infrastructure magician, China hasn't slowed down its pace. Let's keep looking forward to more impressive infrastructure. So, what will our travel look like in the future?
Post your comments below, and if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and follow us on social networks and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. This is WC Daily. Think big, think different. Bye.